All right. We ought to be live. See what we got going on here. Let me go. I'll load up a quick page and see what we're showing. Right now we got no viewers, so it's just us for now. Let's see how it goes.
That's all right, man. Probably be better off the way this might go with us not knowing what we're doing here. Well, you know more than me, but
trying to figure it out.
Man,
I bet that the mic is probably. Let me see if I can move this mic here. How's that? Does that sound a little clear?
yeah, I guess it's a little buzzy on my side when I hear you, but it might be my device. I don't know. Sound like there's a little like electronic fuzzy feedback or something, but
Well, I'm guessing if we're not using like headphones, then it probably will be a little buzzy.
all right, yeah, it sounds pretty good to me. I don't know, how do I sound?
You sound perfect. Oh, I don't hear anything off on your end. Turn down my audio on my side so it's not so pumping through. Let's see. Now we got a couple of viewers, but I can't. I'm trying to get to the chat. Let's see if anyone has announced themselves yet. Let's see. Oh, that's cool. All right, cool. So we got Comics with Bueller, all in on it. We got JPL Flash in there. Cool. Thanks, guys, for showing up and watching. Don't really know what we got going on just yet. We're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing this on because if it's a disaster, any subs.
Surely no disasters. All right, hold on. I'm going to see if I can fix it. You got any headphones, DS?
I do not.
I think that's where my feedback's coming from. You still hearing the feedback?
No, it's pretty good. I mean, I can hear you pretty clearly. As long
All right,
as
cool.
you can hear me and everything's coming through, I'm good to go. Yeah, I can hear you.
All right,
good.
Cool. Well, here we are. We got our faceless deal going on here. Hey, Metarog, how you doing? Good to see you. See Woodard in the house. Good to see you guys. We're trying out our first kind of Facebook Live video here, seeing how we like it. So far, we likes it. We're going to talk just a little bit of comics and see what's going on and kind of work out the bugs. If you guys have any ideas or any feedback or anything like that, just let us know. Let's see. Well, did you get any new? I saw, DS, that you had some comics in the mail. You showed off earlier. They were pretty sweet looking.
Yeah, I got. I was really happy to get that Tomb of Dracula #1. I put out $200 for that, and I just posted a video on that day. And yeah, that's an awesome addition to my collection. I've been trying to add some more Bronze Age stuff. I feel like I was a little lacking in the Bronze Age era. So yeah, really happy to add that, and hopefully I'll be adding later in the next 30 days or so. That'll be exciting too. So
that's cool. Of course, it was. I was shocked when I watched that video and I saw it was 9.6. I was like, "What happened? Did you lose 2 points in shipping?"
Oh, which one are you talking about? The one from today?
Yeah.
Oh no, that was 9.0, Tomb of Dracula.
Oh.
Yeah, when it comes to Bronze Age, I mean, here's my view on 9.8. I consider my collection to be investment and a collection. It's not just a hobby for fun. I mean, these things are serious works of art, and they have value. And sometimes we're laying out hundreds or thousands of dollars for these. That's a lot of money. I want to make sure it's going to maintain or ideally grow in value in the future. So I really feel like from 1980 on, 9.8s really are attainable for pretty much every book. Really, the most expensive 9.8 from 1980 on. I mean, other than like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something, like ASM 300 is $2,000, but everything else you can get at 9.8. And that's what I try to do. Goes up to most of them, a few $100. When they built back before 1980, I'll settle for what I can afford. I got that Hulk 181 in an 8.5. That's pretty much maxing out what I can afford to put out for a single book. So depending on what book it is, that's my view of what I get. But I love the 9.8. So whenever I can find a 9.8 to add to my collection, I do it. I love them. All right, so I'm not sure
There
if
you
we're
are.
still.
Okay. I
Oh, yeah, I
dropped out.
wasn't here.
So, what I said was I was wondering about if you have a modern book that's like a 9.6. And when I say modern, I mean like Amazing Spider-Man, Red Goblin Run, the new Venom series, some of the more modern Spawn books that are showing those nice variant covers. If you've got something like that going on and you're only getting like a 9.4 back as a grade, even a CGC, or a 9.6 even, are those even sellable at that point? Or do you think they'd been better off just, I would say better off just as a raw book and try and let someone else take the chance on the grading?
Yeah, I mean, usually what I do is I pick like modern era books, look for like 9.8 candidates, and put them in like my CQ. I have like a long box that I pull out of 50 books out of that lot CGC. If they look like they're not going to be eights, I will skip over it, and it's sort of like the Baseball Hall of Fame in that long box. If the book gets skipped over like 3 times, probably not going to go to CGC, and then I'll sell it raw. Um, but when if 9.4s for modern books, I mean, I personally wouldn't lay out money for 9.4, 9.2, 9.4 for modern books, unless you can find it like in a dollar bin or cheap where you picked it up like, a cover price when it came out. But I mean, to pay 10 or 15 for that to flip is not worth it, because you spend 10 or 15 bucks, and then after grading and shipping it's another 30, and then you're into it 45, 50 bucks. 9.4, you're looking at like 50 bucks. It's not worth the hassle to sell. But if you're collecting it, um, I get lots of books back from my collection from CGC that I send in modern era, and they come back 9.4s and 9.6, and I keep them until I get a 9.8, and then I sell it. But yeah, they've got value. But for me, I mean, modern.
Did I lose you there?
I'm still here. I don't know if what I'm saying is coming through. I can't see the chat. I just see the Sam Keith Wolverine there on the screen.
Yeah, it's coming through. Basically, what we've got going on is that it will show like whoever's talking, it'll switch over most of the time. It seems like that's what it does. I don't know if there's a setting for that. It's kind of like constantly swapping back and forth. But if you wanted to see what was going on in the chat, you would kind of like turn on a separate screen, which I know is tough sometimes. So, but yeah, you're coming through perfect. I can hear everything you're saying. I was just checking on you there for a second. I kind of lost you, but you're back now.
All right, yeah, I can't see what's on the screen, so if there's any comments or questions or anything, read them out and just let me know what's going on, because basically, as anybody who watches my videos knows how low tech I am, I've got a phone and I'm looking at Keith Wolverine, and it says live, and I see my little no face skull face down there in the right corner, and that's it. I can't see the chat. I can't. I'm just talking to you, and if there's people listening and chatting, I can't see it, but I'll rely on you there, man.
Well, right now we got looks like we got Comics with Bueller, JPL Flash, C Woodard, Metarod, and I think that's it in there right now. There's 6 people watching, it says. And they're just chatting back and forth. A couple of C Woodard's trying to get a wrench out of the deal so he can be a moderator. We'll take a look at that. That's funny because when I'm on the Great Legends show, I'm always putting on the wrenches, trying to get somebody's wrench when they're not paying attention. And then JPL Flash is saying, what time is it for everybody? And everyone's shouting out their time. C. Woodard says that he can handle Bronze Age books a bit beat up. That's interesting because, and JPL Flash agrees. I think that to get a Bronze Age book a little roughed up, I think my threshold for Bronze Age is a lot better. But I think a modern book, I mean, if you're not going to get it, a 9.0 isn't good enough. I think, anyone's going to be happy with I would think an 8.5 or above on a Bronze Age. I would think that that's a pretty fair grouping for that age. But I think if you're getting anywhere from 8.5 to a 9.4 on a modern book, then you probably something happened. A newer book that I'm going to send off to get graded, I try and make sure that they're from pre-orders and they get shipped straight to my house instead of going to the racks and digging through ones that have been beat up real bad. So I try and go straight to it and then pull that down and have it straight from the shipper and get it to my door as pristine as possible. I try and make sure I don't just order one book too, right? So you make sure you get a bunch of books. That way, even if 2 of them, the outside ones, are a little dinged up, they should be okay. I get my pre-orders from mycomicshop.com, and they package brilliantly. I've never had a bent book, not one. So, and then I take that and I'll get that slab right away. And that way, and I haven't had a problem with them coming back less than 9.8, but I could see that every now and then one probably could come back at like a 9.6 or a 9.4. And then, who wants to buy that? You basically wasted your money on the new book, and it's not worth much more than cover price or whatever even the ungraded, because some people will pay pretty good money for those newer books. If they missed them out on the stand, they'll pay pretty good money just to get a raw copy. So you're almost better to crack the slab and see if you can get your money back.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. See books, like newer books, especially stuff like New Mutants 98, more expensive ones that are sort of modern 8, New Mutants 98, Batman Adventures 12, even like an X-Men 266 or a New Mutants 87 in like 7.5 going for hundreds of dollars. I mean, if you just that hard up to get that book, I feel like you can buy some high grade raws and send them in and get higher than 7.5s or 8. People are laying out a lot of money for like 8.0s, 7.5s. Of some of these modern era books like Copper Age and above. There's so many of these newer books out there, anything from like 1990 on. There's so many of them printed. There's so many of them in circulation on the census. I mean, they're everywhere. If you're going to lay out some serious cash, I really think your best investment that sets you apart from other books down the road is to get a really high grade of one. May not be able to get a 9.8, but something like an ASM 300. You can get a 9.4 of that, or like a New Mutants 98 and a 9.6 for a couple extra weeks of saving to get a much higher near mint grade than what your people are out there buying right now.
That's a good point. I could see that if the availability is there, and the census shows that there's tons, right? So the availability should be there, that you should be able to pick up a high grade copy of that book, and the cost difference of the investment is definitely worth it. If you're only going to spend another $30 or $40 for that difference in grade, then obviously you're going to do it. But sometimes people want, I think once you hit that 9.8 mark, things get a little, everyone really wants it at that point. Now they want that. You know, it's 9.8. It's what everybody's after, and they're going to do whatever it takes to get it. So then the price just kind of jumps crazy. There we go. Oh boy, I wonder how bad the lag is on this. Looks like it's like 30 minutes apart. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Do you mean the lag between what we're saying and what's coming through on the chat?
Yeah, it's a real big FAR. I could see how when they do like the live auctions and things, you know, sometimes you'll see 5 or 6 people bidding and they're like, all right, last call. Well, you missed it. You know, time's up.
Yeah, I usually see at the beginning of some of those auctions, everybody types in lag test, check their lag. And I always do that, and mine always comes back in like 15 to 20 seconds. It's insane. So, you know, I don't know. I used to be high tech. I mean, I'm probably showing my age here, but when I was in high school, we didn't have internet or cell phones. There was none of that. So, you know, the way stuff is now, I mean, I'm happy to have a cell phone, sell comics, and do YouTube videos on. But there's just so much tech out there that I have really don't even have any idea how to use it. So I guess I'm gonna have to figure it out because you know, time's passing me by here, and I got to keep up.
I think you're doing all right. As long as you can still buy comics, 5 different websites, I think you're doing pretty good.
Yeah, I'm buying and selling comics. I'm bidding on. I'm doing auction sites. Selling comics. I'm doing YouTube videos. You know, so all from my phone. Everything I do is from my phone. And honestly, this phone, I had a Motorola Razor. If you remember, those were the old.
Oh yeah,
old.
I remember not being able to afford one of those.
First came out, and I had that until the speakers literally broke, and then I got this one, and this is like a first generation Galaxy, Samsung Galaxy. So, and I still haven't changed it out. Still 4 years old or something.
Wow, that's wild. That's good stuff. I remember. Yeah, I remember the freedom. I was already married when cell phones came out to an ex, and I remember when they came out, and I thought, wow, this is cool. I'll be able to like call anyone whenever. This is gonna be great. And then shortly thereafter, I realized that no one. Like I didn't have anyone to call, and yet people were calling me, and basically it was just like my ex-wife saying, hey, since you're on your way home from work, why don't you stop at the grocery store? And that was when it hit me. I was like, it used to be that I knew when I left the house if I was going to go to the grocery store on the way home or not. Like I already knew that before I left the house. I was like, all right, on my way home I got to get milk and eggs and bread, right? And then all of a sudden, somewhere in the middle of the day, someone else had the power to change my plans and where I was going on the way home. And I didn't like that at all. Let's see. Metarog's doing a lag test. Are we still lagging?
Yeah, I can't tell how bad the lag is for me. I just been listening to you talk, and then I'm just responding, but I can't see the chat, so hopefully it's not too bad.
JPL Flash says he was in my last year of high school, first year of college, when mobile phones, it says he's a Brit, right? Mobile phones, call out the Nokia 3310/3330 was the one I have. TMC Comics said, yeah, don't call me. I'm in the comic book store. That's messed up. I got some books in. If you guys want to see those, they just arrived like seconds ago. We'll show off some comics. How about that? First one I got was Deadpool Assassin #1. These were on my pre-orders, and they just came in today. So these should be the books that shipped like last Wednesday, I guess. So happy about that. Next we got Hunt for Wolverine, Adamantium Agenda #2. And looks like I got a variant cover to that too. Hunt for Wolverine, Adamantium Agenda #2. I actually like the variant pretty well. That's neat. And I got Oblivion Song #4. I've really been enjoying that book. If anyone's out there reading that book, that's been a great book. It's super exciting. It's got a lot of suspense. It has a little bit of a horror feel to it, but not gore. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. When the pre-order for this one came out, Tomb Raider Inferno, it didn't have a picture for it. So I went ahead and got it anyway. I didn't know what it was going to end up looking like, but it came out with #1, and I'm not happy with it. I think it looks terrible. I guess if that's supposed to be Lara Croft, I'm not happy. So we'll see. What do you think?
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. That doesn't have any Lara Croft.
Maybe it's like her cousin or something. Let's hope. I got Hunt for Wolverine, The Claws of a Killer #2. And I got the variant as well. I'm liking the variants, but they don't look that different than the A covers generally. They're kind of the same. But I bet if they start coming out with some second prints, they might look pretty good. We got Weapon H #4. I like that cover. Looks like he's battling Man-Thing in there. I think that looks really good. And we got Michael Turner's Fathom #1. And that has the Michael Turner cover. And this is like a volume 7 or something like that, collection of Michael Turner Fathoms. So celebrating 15 years of Fathom. So I'm a big Michael Turner fan, so I enjoy that. My son got Star Wars Darth Vader #17. Thought that was a pretty cool, kind of classic looking cover. And then the last one I picked up was this James Bond: The Body. #6, I think. That should be the last one. I think that they usually run only about 6 issues long. So that should be the last one. But I really have been enjoying that series a lot. The James Bond series by Dynamite's been pretty good. They say that they're coming out with a new one that's going to be like a prequel Bond story going back to his World War II days. I don't know how good that's going to be. I don't tend to enjoy prequels too much. You there, DS?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm checking out the books you got. They're nice. I like the Hunt for Wolverine ones. Those are real cool.
I'm enjoying those.
Yeah, I actually have not been to my LCS or any LCS in a long time because I just sort of stopped buying the new stuff. So I haven't bought anything that's come out new in a really long time. So the ones you're showing and a bunch of other YouTubers show, that's the first time a lot of times that I'm seeing some of these. And when I see one there that I like, I'll go check it out. But I like that James Bond and the Hunt out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm a little. Oh, here's one. This one was for my wife. She likes the Betty and Veronica covers. So she got Betty and Veronica Friends Jumbo Comics, and that's a new one. Where she has quite a collection of the older books starting to grow. It's really hard. Those old Archie comics, and they command a lot of money in good condition. You can buy rag copies for a few bucks each. Sometimes even the rag copies they want like $8 to $10 for. and the really nice pristine ones, and a pristine for a comic from the 50s, as you know, heck man, a 4.0 to a 5.0 is right in my wheelhouse of wow, that looks nice for those age comics. And you know, to get the old Archie comics, especially the Betty and Veronica's, which I guess turned out to be the more popular of the group these days, they're way up there, man. I looked at one today for $150. Betty and Veronica #2, they wanted $150 for it, and I swear it couldn't have been a 6. It had to have. It may be a 5, maybe. I think it was a 4.5, and they wanted $150 for it. And that's a fair price for that. Sad as it is, but I can't pay that.
Yeah, when it comes to Golden Age stuff, which I collect a lot of, my standards from the 60s and 70s up. I'm just looking for books that are complete, intact, don't have coupons flipped or pieces missing, that are pretty presentable, that are pretty attached at the staples for the most part, and that's it. I mean, you get something in the 6-7 range that's 40s or 50s. I mean, that's serious cash. If I can get a 5.0 of something from the Ecstatic, usually 3 to 4 range is good for me.
Yeah, I guess that's where I'll have to stick on those. She really does read them. I like them to not fall apart in her hands. That's about where I'm drawing the line. And I say that you can get a staple detached, even one, and still be in okay condition. But I think once you start dropping below like the 2 range, it's almost just kind of trash. It feels like when you're even trying to read it. Sometimes the pages are so damaged that it interrupts the story, which of course is the worst, right?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm mainly stuff collecting the Golden Age, that Golden Age horror stuff. And I'll show one here. I've got usually try to buy something like this so that I can read. Because yeah, I mean, they're falling apart in your hands half the time. So when I get them, I'll read them once and then try to find a hardcover or a reprint or something to read it again. But they're so fragile sometimes. I'm afraid to open it up and read it. I just give it a quick review for completeness and restoration, and then put it back up and print or in a book form like this.
Do you get a lot of those books when you get them that old? What can a pressing even do for a Golden Age book like that? What can it really improve?
You cut out there for a second. What was the question?
I was just saying, like when you get a Golden Age book like that, one that's a little brittle, if for lack of a better word. We're talking like a 3 to 4 range, that's got a little brittleness to it, maybe some detachment here and there. What kind of pressing or cleaning? Like I'd be scared to get that even cleaned. Is there a dry cleaning method or pressing that could even touch that to help it?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I don't even usually send those anywhere to get dry cleaned or pressed. It's really not going to improve the grade too much if the staples are a little, if the covers are loose from the staples or got major creasing or any type of brittleness or even like significant tanning. It's dangerous to even handle it, and I'm not comfortable having anybody, even a professional, really press and clean it. I've got one book that's like a 2.0 coffee ring stain on the front. I showed it in a video way back, but it's so brittle. I really want to get it pressed, but I'm afraid to have it even handled. So it really, it's tough to improve the grade of something that's already a 3 or a 3.5 by pressing it. You're not going to get much because there's so many other defects already that I don't think it really improves the grade much. But on rare occasions, it'll improve the presentability to make it worth considering, like the one I have. And I'll pull it out if you want to see the one I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, for sure. The one with the ring on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, pull that out.
Yeah, I've got it in the box that's that I'm using here to film with. One here.
Oh, wow.
Now this book is this is pretty expensive in any grade. I mean, this is like I don't know, probably $1,000 book, but it's got, I don't know how well this is going to come up, but it's got like a,
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Set of bolt. Can you see it?
Yeah, I see it. It's like a cereal bowl size or something.
Right. And it's got some staining up here. I don't know. It's kind of tough to show on a video here, but yeah, that ring around it really takes away from the presentability of it, and I would consider getting this press just to press that out and maybe dry clean to get the stain out. But it's already 2.0. The top staple is barely holding on. So I don't know how well this is showing up, but
it's showing up really well, actually. I think.
Okay.
Because even though there's glare, the glare actually accentuates the difference in the topography of the book itself. So you're able to see the bend and how it's interacting with the light. So yeah, you can definitely tell the damage that's been done to that book.
All right, so what I'd like to do is thinking about cracking this open and getting it pressed and cleaned, but you know, I'm still up in the air about whether to even have this book handled. So what I'd like to do is upgrade it, but to upgrade this book, I mean, it's thousands of dollars at this point. So I just, you know, this is an awesome book, and I'm happy to have it. It's complete. It's you know, the cover is fantastic. So that's it's one of the gems of my collection. But that ring bothers me. I want to get it pressed, but you know, it's not going to improve the grade, but it would definitely improve the presentability. So those are the rare instances where I would consider it for a low grade older book, something like this.
Looks really, really nice. You think anything? So at that point, it's a 2.0. What does it say whether it's white pages or not? I mean, I guess it's impossible, right?
All right, yeah. So check this out. This book is completely tore up, and it's got off-white pages.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And here's the back. So I mean, it's tanned. I mean, it's in rough shape.
So let me ask you a quick question. Who else would I ask? So I was looking at a book today. It was an older. It wasn't an EC horror, but it was an older DC horror book, and I had my option of two different ones I was looking at picking up, and one was a 6.0, I think, and then one was like a 5.0, and the 5.0 was going to cost more than the 6.0. And the 6.0 said that it had oxidation. So what exactly is oxidation, and why didn't it affect the grade of the book, and instead was just like an additional note?
These were raw books that the seller said that's the condition, or were they grown?
Yeah, these were raw.
I mean, oxidation is basically how the air affects the paper and the metal of the staples. So, I mean, if the staples get rusty, they've got oxidation, and you know, the paper will tan and it will like spotty sort of from humidity, and it gets wrinkly, and that's oxidation as far as, you know, my understanding of it. Yeah, I don't encounter that term too much as far as condition when I'm buying older books. I don't have a lot of sellers tell me, hey, this is a 5.0 because it's got oxidation. You know, all the books have been affected, especially stuff from the 40s and 50s has been, you know, you're looking at 70 years. This piece of paper has been out and about, so they all are affected by the air and humidity that's been there. So I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense. As I was looking at it, it certainly seemed like some of them were in worse condition than others, and yet I've never seen that term used that way, that oxidation. I had never seen that in a book that I was looking to get. So when I saw it, I was like, well, what the heck's going on there? Now, I'll show you a book that I picked up real quick. This is a Dell cent, 15-cent Popeye, number 64, volume 1. This is from 1962. So this is old, but it's not near as old as some of the Golden Age books that you're just showing and that you're talking about. And yet, look at the destruction that this thing's come under. And I've had this out of the bag, and I can tell you that it's a miracle that this much of the cover is even still attached. Because when you start touching it, you can feel the pieces of it just completely breaking off. And you probably can't see it very well there, but the edges are all like, talk about chipping. They look like they've been through the wood chipper. It's very, very brittle book when you touch it. It's very stiff. It just feels like something that would crumble if you sneezed on it too hard. And then here's one that's not soon after this one. And look at what condition it's in. It's in far, far better condition. So I guess, how you keep it and where you keep it is always going to matter. But I had never seen anyone just come right out and say, yeah, oxidation. That's the only thing wrong with this book is it's got oxidation. So my guess is that even if you had covers attached, it probably would tear up sooner or later. And I don't even know if you'd want to take that book out and get it pressed or cleaned or anything if it's already kind of crunchy. It's scary just to touch it.
Yeah, I can see the huge difference between those two Popeyes. I don't know. Oxidation is not a term that's like really that common as far as defects in older books. I mean, I've heard it here and there, but I mean, it's just more of a general term, I think. But those Popeyes are cool. I actually have on my my deep want list. This is like a really deep want list where it's something I hope to get like someday. Is like a very early comic book appearance of Popeye, like King's Comics #1, or ideally like a framed, or I would frame it. The Popeye originally appeared in a newspaper comic strip from like 1936, I think.
Yeah,
and I would love. So sometimes you go to these antique stores and they have just boxes and boxes of old newspapers and magazines, and I would love to go through and find the one from that date and pull it out and have that comic strip, the first ever Popeye. So, but
that would be amazing.
Like King's Comics, I think it's called King Comics or King's Comics. Those are real early Popeye appearances, and some of those command serious money, but they're cool and they're very big pieces of comic book history. They predate Action Comics #1 and Detective 27, so there was no Superman at the time.
That's cool. I like the I had Rick. I just stepped a second. Get this here. This is something that I picked up at a peddler's mall. I think I paid I want to say like $10 for it, but I couldn't pass it up. And it's really big. So, but this is the Smithsonian collection of newspaper comics. It's a hardback book, and it goes way back, and it's got some really, really early Popeye in it, and Mickey, and it's just a really, really awesome book. Like I said, I picked it up for $10. It's crunchy as hell. I'm trying to remember what year it starts at. I think it's 1896. So this has comics starting as far back as 1896 and goes as far up as 1966. And it's really, really old and crunchy, but it's got watermarks all over it. It's crumbled, but the pages are still pretty tough. This is old paper. It holds up. But some of the comics in here are just amazing. And this is what we use as our coffee table book. So, which I know that's showing age right there too. But, I used to have a coffee table, right? And when people came over, they had a book to read on the counter. So, or on the coffee table. So that's what this is for us. We keep this on our coffee table when people come over. They have something kind of to look at. A lot of old war comics and things in here. It's really quite something. So if you're into those, and it has little like forwards to each chapter kind of era. There's 1907 to 1927, and they talk about the history of it. And it's Smithsonian. It's not like a wiki page, you know, so it's pretty in depth. And they tell you all about the comics that are in the strips that you're about to read, and then you read the comics. So it's really, really cool, and it's something you can pick up and kind of put down whenever you want. You know, $10. I couldn't leave it there. I had to save it.
Yeah, that's real awesome. I love that stuff. Anything that predates like you know, Superman and Batman, that's from like the 20s or 30s, really like in the 30s when comic books were starting to comic strips and comic books were starting to actually enter popular culture and be born. That's that stuff is, I don't know, it's got a magic to it. There is no Superman or Batman. There's no Spider-Man. There's no Wolverine. There's none of that superhero stuff. It's a whole different animal back way back, like in the 20s and 30s, and that stuff got a magic to it that is, it's just such a unique thing. That book is awesome. I guarantee you've got the first Popeye comic strip in there.
Yeah, I'll have to hunt it down, won't I? You say it's 19, what was it? 1930 what?
It might be 33 to 35. I'm not even sure exactly what year it was.
It's in there somewhere, isn't it? And then they also make a point in this book to single out like the old types of, how do you say, like the comics that were like taboo or banned for the time. And they'll show those and say, you know, this comic was pulled back out of the newspaper for whatever reason, you know, weren't allowed, it was too risque or the humor was too blue or whatever. So, and they would retract it. So it also shows some retracted comments. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good
You
stuff.
got any more? Huh?
My phone battery is at 1%, so I'm just
No,
gonna stay
no.
on. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay here until you lose me, and you know, then I will have to leave.
That's all right. We'll just cut it off because I think everybody's probably got something to do. I think it wasn't bad for a test run. I'll leave the video up at least for a few days and see what other people think about it. See how the quality was, and then we'll kind of go from there. And you know, we'll do it again. Hey, we still need a name. we still got to come up with a name for this thing for our group. So everybody get in the comments and let us know what we should name this thing. There's a couple of comments in our last video that announced it that had some decent names to choose from. One of the ones I keep thinking back to was the easel adjusters. I don't know why that one keeps standing out in my mind. So I don't remember who recommended it, but I liked it. So we'll see.
All right, man. I'm gonna run before I get cut off. It's been fun.
All right, man. See you. Thanks, everybody. Bye.